We continue to focus on the names you need to watch. It's time for the morning trade, and Toll Brothers in focus. It reports its earnings today after the closing bell. Sam Vadas, Schwab Network. Sam Vadas is here with us. And what do the street folks expect here for a name like Toll Brothers?
Well, we are expecting about 4.5% or so EPS growth. So that would be a $3.60 a pop on revenues of about $2.85 billion. Now, it does have a good track record of beating earnings and revenue. It is up, interestingly, 11% or so over the last month or so ahead of this earnings report. In fact, it's up over 20% since around the last earnings report, sitting up about 1.5% in trade today at 133. The housing market obviously has been a very big focus for investors right now, given more optimism now in this space, especially off the back of the jobs data. No doubt some of the inflation data had reinforced the fact that markets are now betting on those rate cuts, potentially coming as early as September, which could be massively consequential for some of the companies like Toll Brothers in the home building space. Obviously, the macro environment has become a little bit more supportive of some of those interest rate cuts and more sort of sensitive corners of the market like these. So no doubt there is a view out there that that really should help some of this pent-up demand. Sales, obviously, we know for new homes have been falling. So no doubt the street is looking for some guidance from what the company has to say, particularly in light of what the Fed Chair Jay Powell and co are going to be saying at Jackson Hole. So this is very much a rates story. So let's see what they have to say about that, given there's still a lot of uncertainties and question marks around that. But one person, as we know, who's betting big on this space is Warren Buffett. I mean, we just had last week the fact that Berkshire had disclosed that they were now obviously going to be raising the stakes as far as new stakes in the sector, Lennar, DR Horton. Now, not Toll Brothers specifically, but the view here is that that certainly could have positive spillover effects for the broader industry. So this could be beneficial for the entire sector. If we turn to some of the peers who have already reported in this sector, we can get a few clues about this. DR Horton and Pultegroup both saw stocks rising after earnings. Champion Homes beat expectations, rallied 4.5% off the back of that. Building Products rallied 21% after their earnings beat as well. Now, obviously, we've had names like Home Depot, which do fit into the broader picture as well, missing estimates, but standing pat on that guidance, which very much is encouraging. So let's see what this company has to say as far as the forward-looking outlook there. But you know, home builders have been also talking about the affordability constraints. That's certainly something that DR Horton had mentioned, as well as Pultegroup. There have been some concerns around some of the sales incentives that these companies have been offering, that this could potentially become a bit of a margin pressure story down the road. But no doubt if we do see some of those interest rates coming down, that could help the broader sector. But it has got a couple of price target bumps in recent weeks. It does look like the street's view is fairly optimistic on this one as we look ahead to that report card later today after the bell, Nicole.
And look, we've seen Warren Buffett, as you've noted. I mean, we've seen Warren Buffett showing an interest in the home builders overall. He increased his stake in Lennar by 19%. Also bought a stake in DR Horton, not necessarily in Toll Brothers, but maybe it could trickle down, they're saying, into the group. So we'll have to watch for that.
That's right.
Sam Vadas, thank you very much. And now we go to Tim Biggam, options strategist at Buy Alerts. And Tim, you're taking a look at Toll Brothers at 133 today. How would you go and approach an example trade here today?
I'm kind of going against the grain here, Nicole. Everyone somewhat, overly bullish, in my opinion. I think given the price action we've seen in the home builders and especially Toll recently, it's kind of already priced in, obviously, for the Fed rate cut that's all but it guaranteed in September and another one later in the year. So I think rates coming down won't have a effect really on the home builder side. They've already kind of benefited from the almost certainty on that. But I think it's getting a little bit out over the skis on the rally here. Valuations getting to the upper end of the range. And I think it's getting over that 20-day moving average by a large degree, too. So I'm just looking for a little bit of a pullback. I'm kind of playing a, buy the rumors, sell the news earnings style trade here, going out buying the October, slightly out of the money 125 puts selling the SEPs, paying under $1.50 for the trade, so like the price on that for a stock that's trading well over $100. Have a slight term structure of vol edge, certainly IV generally low in this name too. So I'm really just looking for a pullback back towards that 20-day moving average around that 125 level, somewhere over the next month or so. You only have the monthlies here on TOL, so you can't really play the weekly. So I think both, Toll Brothers, housing stocks, and the market generally probably overdue for a pullback here, given the kind of rally we've seen over the past several months since those Liberation Day lows.
All right, so we have that to deal with. And then what about the market action? How do you feel about the market?
Yeah, I am getting more and more bearish, I guess, as the market goes higher and higher here. We're looking at stretch valuations, extremes we have only seen at peaks that were preceding 20+% pullbacks, certainly on valuations. I think the euphoria surrounding stocks and the interest rate cuts, right? Interest rates will still be much higher than they were during the kind of zero Fed funds rate, but they will be coming down slightly. So I think the market is getting just a little too, if you will, ebullient about AI and the growth prospects here going forward. We haven't seen a pullback in this market really since Liberation Day. I think we're overdue for that as well. And with option prices and the VIX near the lowest levels, if not at the lowest of the year, not a bad time to be positioning, I think, with some puts here to possibly play for that probabilistic pullback.
Yeah, and I will say that a lot of folks talk about the pullbacks, particularly for the Mag 7. They are saying they would be buying. Would you be buying?
At some point, I don't think we're going to have, that, 20% plus drop that we've seen when valuations were previously this extreme. But I think certainly a 5 to 7% pullback would maybe get me interested a little bit to nibble in. I would not be jumping in just because these stocks have dropped, because the valuations will still be rich. Interest rates will still be comparatively high. So I think we do need kind of that washout moment, right, to get someone like myself, who tends to be more of a value guy, back into the market here, not chasing the names simply because they're going up. I think a stock like Palantir, we've seen over the past week and a half, will be typical of the price action where you had earnings that beat by a big margin, but because valuations optimism was so high, you're seeing the stock finally falling.
Biggam, option strategist, Buy Alerts. Great to see you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.